Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update for everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. So let's go over what happened yesterday. So yesterday, Rocket Fuel launched as a podcast, and I uploaded all the old episodes on there. I started publicizing that on Twitter, and it seems like people are really happy about there being a podcast version of Rocket Fuel now. So you can check that out. I make it live pretty much right after the YouTube video goes online. So it's really straightforward for you to get listening to that. And then there were some updates from Mav about the protocol. I sent out a POAP to everyone who has joined the Rocket Fuel thread on Discord. There were lots of big deposits coming in, and GC gave people ETH, and I was one of those people, and balancer incentives for the RPL rETH pool went live. There was an update on the Maker integration that should happen in October. Joe added 2 more relays to 1.6.4, which should be coming soon. And Maso talked about how he's earning a lot more post-merge from MEV stuff than before, which is really great. And then there was a tweet about that information about there being more rewards. So that was one of the topics of discussion in today's community call that Ken hosted, with Maverick and Joe taking part in that. And I realize I don't follow Joe, so let me follow him. Sorry, I don't follow Maverick. So we in the community call today, there was a lot of talk about the different governance stuff that's happening, and software stuff that's happening, and incentives and all that kind of stuff. And Joe also gave me a really nice shout out in the video, basically in the community space, saying that everything that was covered in the community space gets covered pretty much in every day in Rocket Fuel, and then more on top of that. So that was really sweet of him to say that and to notice. So I gave him a little shout out in the reply of the tweet that Ken made. But one of the things they mentioned in there is that vanity salts that people have minted and are waiting to use for future nodes are not going to be usable. And I thought it might have been linked with something to do with the Wintermute hack that happened, where $160 million was taken because of a wallet that was made using a vanity address. But that vanity system has no impact at all on Rocket Pool. So I asked Joe today to explain it to me. I said, Joe, I didn't fully understand why the vanity address won't be used during the call today. Can you explain it a little bit? And Joe says, sure. And then he goes on to say the vanity salts have a bunch of stuff that goes into the salt to make them unique, one of which is the address of Rocket Node Manager. And then he goes on to explain this contract is going to get updated as part of the fix, which means new address, which means existing salts would no longer be valid. And then he says there's no impact on the vanity addresses that are already out there. There's nothing to worry about in terms of the profanity profanity vulnerability, because Rocket Pool uses a different system to mint vanity addresses. It just means that if you have a salt but you haven't used it yet, after the update, it'll no longer create mini pool with that address you minted it for. So you can't use it to make a new mini pool. You'll have to mine it again. So Joe gave a nice update on where we stand with that, and it turns out it's not that big a deal really for Rocket Pool node operators, except those who like to store salts, because you'll have to mine them again and use them for your vanity addresses in the future. Next, we had a really great milestone that was reached. We have 1,500 node operators now as part of the Rocket Pool system. So that number's actually gone up a little bit since then. It's in the low 1500s now, which is really, really wonderful to see. And there was some more action on, well, let's actually have a look at a little bit about where we stand with node operators right now. So on rocketscan.io and /nodes, you can see that it gives you a breakdown of all the different nodes, how many mini pools they're running, what their RPL collateral is, and all of that good stuff. And then you can see that the the increase over here has been like steady but consistent, and then this gives you a breakdown of all the different collateral numbers that we've had for mini pools per node operator, and then so we have 8 node operators that have more than 100, and mine is one of these lower numbers over here, but yeah. And then you can see that in terms of new node operators, it's fairly consistent. We've not really had that much of an uptick after the rETH incentives went live. I guess it's more that's for minting the rETH tokens, which makes a lot of sense. Oh, I expanded that and I shouldn't have. And then we have about collateralization and where people stand at the moment. And there's a lot of people now who have more than 150% collateralized, like 250 nodes have that. So that's something to pay attention to, because there might, that's liquid RPL now, so they could sell that potentially. And here we have like the MEV update stats. So for MEV, we have total we have 52% of people are using any MEV boost, and that represents 55% of mini pools. And for the smoothing pool, the numbers are much better. So we have 65% of mini pools are using at least one MEV boost relay, and that represents 77% of mini pools, which is really good to see. So please, if you are part of the smoothing pool, please use MEV boost to bring up the rates for everyone else. And I guess if you're just a regular node, please use it as well, because people not using the MEV boost is impacting Rocket Pool's rETH rewards percentage compared to the competition. So that's something to pay attention to. We have this comment. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, so one interesting thing happened overnight this morning, where Maso linked this Rocket Scan IO node saying, here's a fun address for you all to watch. And then people were like, it only has one RPL staked, and that happened on the 20th, like what's going on here? And then someone says it's Marco Barco, and another splitter with Patricio Walthalter, and then Marco Barco says, PSA, if you intend to create any mini pools, do so in the next 10 minutes. So what happened is that and then Astanator.eth like pinged me in that, which was really nice. Like, I really appreciate when people do that, because it makes it a lot easier for me to find information for these videos. So then what ended up happening was that Patricio staked 500,000 RPL tokens, which was worth nearly 10,000 ETH, 9,350 ETH. And Marco Barco started depositing mini pools. So right now they have 50 mini pools that they spun up today. And the amount of RPL token that they've staked basically means that they can run 400 mini pools on this node at 150%, which is the level of collateralization they've been keeping for their other nodes. So yeah, those all went, and because we've been making really good progress with rETH minting, like over half of those are already in pre-launch now. So they've already a big chunk of them are initialized, and it seems like all of them are in pre-launch, which is amazing. Like, I guess the queue got cleared really nicely today. So expect a big chunk more of those mini pools to go online over the next couple of days. It's just they like to give a chance for regular node operators to add mini pools or spin up nodes, so they don't get buried in the queue. But hopefully the queue is the thing of a past now, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. This is what I was trying to find. So the rETH numbers on the Rocket Pool website were stuck at 3.55%, and people were just like, hey, what's going on over here? I think 3.75%, something like that, because Lido released their numbers and they're saying that their APR is somewhere around 5.5%. So Joe and Kane and a bunch of people in the community kind of like were working out the best way to find out what the actual APR of the rewards is, because it's kind of convoluted, because you have to figure out how much is in the different pools and how much has been distributed to users, and like smoothing pool and like percentages of commission and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So when they worked it out, basically it's too soon after the merge to have an exact number, because this number is like vacillating wildly between like 9% and 5%. But it seems like this is like a conservative number right here, 5.25%. And there have been moments after the merge where that number's been up to 9%. So it just depends on what's happening on the network activity. Hopefully, as network activity goes up, then the MEV stuff will go higher, and there'll be more scope of making good returns based on that. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for going forwards. But I'm glad that that is updated on the website now. So people who want to mint rETH are getting a much better understanding of what their rewards are. I think the idea was that we'll take an average of the previous 7 days and use that as a value for working out the APR, which I think makes sense. So next, we have this really interesting tweet from an Ethereum core developer saying, I have updated EIP 4895 in preparation for deployment in the next planned Ethereum upgrade, Shanghai. You might also hear it called Capella. And basically this is written by Alex and Danny, and it is beacon chain push withdrawals as operations. So support validator withdrawals from the beacon chain to the EVM via a new system level operation type. So this is EIP, so it's in Ethereum improvement proposal that kind of goes into the idea of how it's going to work and when it's going to work. So it seems like the team's already the core developers are already making big moves about getting this done and getting this set. So here in the abstract it says, introduce a new system level operation to support validator withdrawals that are pushed from the beacon chain to the EVM. These operations create unconditional balance increases to the specified recipients. So it gets quite like into the code of stuff and how it all works. But when people are saying that there's a chance the withdrawals could happen before the end of the year, that's definitely possible. However, kind of selfishly from a Rocket Pool's best interest perspective, the maybe Q1, maybe February or March might be the best time for Rocket Pool to be able to capitalize on that. So I'm not normally one to ask for delays of updates to the Ethereum protocol, but in this case, it might be one of those situations where the Atlas coding, which is the next Rocket Pool upgrade, Atlas coding will be ready by the end of the year, maybe in December. I'm not sure of the exact date for the audit, and then that'll go through an audit, and then it'll go into testnet for a little while. So I'm saying that maybe that will be ready for February, and then if we get everything in place for February and the withdrawals happen in March, for example, or like maybe even a week later in February, that would actually put us in a really, really, really amazing position to, capitalize on the great reshuffle that will happen once withdrawals start. So talking about Atlas, which is the update coming from the Rocket Pool team, you can see that the team has already started working on LEB8, alt distributor and scaled assignments on LEB8. So Kane is the person who's working on those software updates, and hopefully he's making good progress and it's not too complicated to get that done. And I'm really, really hoping we get LEB8s and staking as service contract sorted out, because I'd love to start using that stuff. So that would be really wonderful to see. And finally, I'm going to finish with this Dune Analytics dashboard made by DrWorm, which is a really, really wonderful dashboard. Like, I can't praise this highly enough. Like, I think it's really useful for like visualizing all the different information. So as you can see over here, it has things like exchange rates, like official exchange rates, and like back and forth between rETH and ETH, and supplies, and these great charts about peg, about whether we're above peg or below peg, and on the secondary market, and supply versus time, unique numbers. Like, you can mess around with this. I'll link it in the description, but it's really worth your time, I think, to just kind of like poke around it and have a look at the different charts and try to understand what's happening in them, because it's really the information is really good and really detailed. So it tells you a lot about where the liquidity is and where the volume is, and where all the information is. So definitely poke around there, because I think DrWorm's done a really wonderful job with this. And yeah, good job, DrWorm. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up today, except to say that you can expect another video in about an hour to an hour and a half. I am going to start making 2 videos a day from now on, but the second video will not be about Rocket Pool. The second video will be about the best Ethereum, general Ethereum community on the internet, which was my first home, which was Reddit's rETH. So every day now I'm going to make 2 videos. One will stay like Rocket Fuel the way it is, which is all about Rocket Pool on Discord primarily and other places. And the second video will be a summary of the previous day's rETH daily thread. So the daily thread gets like about 1,000 posts a day, and it's really overwhelming for people to read through all of that, and like, because there's so much alpha in there too, and so much like useful information and insights. And some really popular people in the Ethereum ecosystem like either have posted there in the past or are still very like prominent members of that community. And these are names that you know, like DC Investor or Superfizz or Liberosist, as they're known on rETHfinance, but also known as Polymia on Twitter. So these people all started in ethfinance, and before that ETH Trader, which was like the ethfinance was a splinter community from that. So I'm going to be providing those daily updates for rETHfinance, and I think it'll add a lot of value to the rETHfinance community and also the wider Ethereum ecosystem. It's not like all about the the latest updates or integrations or any of that kind of stuff. It's more about people in the community reflecting on what's happening in the community and making their own ideas known, and sometimes finding alpha and sometimes just positioning new thoughts. Like when we were getting ready for the layer 2 stuff happening, one of the really strong narratives that won out was about Ethereum becoming a modular blockchain instead of a monolithic blockchain. And that idea was started by Polymia, and most people know that that idea spread from Twitter. However, we saw earlier versions of that way of thinking in the ethfinance community, and I explicitly remember when those ideas were being posted and how, like, even one of their first posts about that topic where they were talking about computer chips and how they became modular over time instead of monolithic, and how it's just so much like that analogy they use, like I still remember it so vividly. So it's a truly tremendous community, and it's one that I've been part of a long time, and I think there's a lot of value in there in that community, and a lot of people respect that community a lot. So I'm going to start making a summary video for that every day. And I know if you're here for Rocket Pool news, then you'll be getting that every day still. And if you want to start reading and hearing about Ethereum news, then you're welcome to join me for those videos as well. They'll also be published on the podcast also. So that is where I'm going to leave it today. So in the next maybe hour and a half, I'll have that video posted as well, and tomorrow you'll have podcasts for both of them ready. So it's really exciting. I'm really happy to be doing this, and I really hope that it adds value to the communities, to both communities, the Rocket Pool community and for the Ethereum on Reddit community. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited to get started on that. So on that note, I might see you in an hour and a half, or I might see you tomorrow, depending on what videos you want to watch of mine. And I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Bye.